Jair Bolsonaro is essentially Brazil's version of Donald Trump. He is socially conservative, he is authoritarian, and if you don't believe me, just check out this news report that perfectly highlights what Bolsonaro is all about.
He has praised Brazil's former military dictatorship and its use of torture, wants to restore the death penalty, and has promised to expand access to guns.
We have to guarantee self-defense for the good citizens. If one of us, civilian or soldier, is assaulted, if he shoots the attacker 20 times, it serves them right. He must be decorated, not judged.
His hardline stances are not limited to criminals. He has also vowed to crack down on political opponents, saying they must either accept him, leave the country, or risk imprisonment. Jair Bolsonaro ran on a socially conservative agenda. He opposes abortion, has defended unequal pay for women, advocated for a tougher stance on immigration, and opposes same-sex marriage.
That was a very interesting video, what he showed. Not at all biased or doesn't show any evidence to any of his or any of the claim in that video. And I also find it quite interesting the young Turks who have been screaming and screeching and reeing for the 2016 election for the Russians, and they're meddling with their elections, that no other country should meddle in their elections. Yet TYT want to meddle in Brazil's election while being in the United States. Isn't that interesting? Also, what is wrong with what he said? What they actually showed of evidence in that video? What he showed was they showed him saying if someone is getting attacked, they should be able to defend themselves. What is wrong with that? I don't think anything is wrong with that. And the whole unequal pay, I mean, that's a straw man. TYT and feminists always scream about, the wage gap, my wage gap. So TYT, again, doing no work at all, letting someone else do the work for them, and they don't even do the work properly. So let's continue this video.
Important for you to remember that he opposes same-sex marriage. We're gonna get back to that in just a second. He's also made numerous homophobic and sexist remarks, including saying that a woman was too ugly to be raped by him. So a Brazilian journalist had accused him of rape, and he responded by saying that she was too ugly to rape.
Anna, you do realize that's supposed to be an insult and a joke. But I guess TYT, I guess I'm asking too much of TYT for them to understand such simple things. And also, you have to prove the claims you're making. Now, if he's against gay marriage, now that's personally something I would be against, but you have to also prove at least something what you're saying. So far, the only thing you've shown is one clip of him actually saying something. So you need to actually back up your points. I can't believe I'm doing a simple journalism for TYT.
Which is very similar to what Trump had said when he was accused of sexual assault.
And Duterte, right-wing dictators of a feather fly together, or whatever that saying is, sorry. But I want to give you actually the important exact quote of what he said about rape. Because maybe it's lost in the translation, but at the ending of it, it might give you a sense of his mindset. She said about his left-wing critic, "She's not my type. I'd never rape her. I'm not a rapist. But if I was, I wouldn't rape her because she doesn't deserve it."
So now he's literally spelling it out for TYT. He wouldn't rape her. He would never rape her. And even if he was a rapist, he wouldn't rape her because he doesn't think she deserved it. How much clearer do you have to spell things out for people like TYT, the outrage machine, and I mean, I think it's a little bit funny, but I mean, again, Jesus Christ, TYT, they're supposed to be the smartest people on the regressive left, the intellectuals and the deep thinkers with the best arguments, and they can't even take a joke. Jesus freaking Christ.
So now it's a critic. So it's not like she doesn't deserve it because she's a good person. No, he's saying she's doesn't deserve the benefit of his rape because she's too unattractive.
Yeah, he fashions himself as a Trump-like figure in Brazil, and he's a big fan of Trump's. Trump is a big fan of his. They've got their bromance going on via Twitter, and again, Pompeo has not gone to any other inauguration. According to Think Progress, according to Pompeo's travelogue, this does appear to be the first and only inauguration of any state leader he has attended, and he said all sorts of favorable things about Bolsonaro, even given the number of human rights issues related to this leader. Now, it's amazing what's happening in Brazil because it's actually very similar to some of the things that we've experienced here in the United States. So for instance.
Okay, name me one human rights issue he has violated while he's been running for candidate or even become president. You need to prove your goddamn claims. Now, this is the second time I've stopped the video where you haven't proven anything. You used the video previously, and now you're just throwing out garbage claims. Now, if he has, now I'm gonna be fair. If he has violated human rights issues, that's horrible, and he should be accountable for that. But so far, I'm just going to use Hitchens razor and dismiss your claims because you can't name one, you can't even name an organization or or evidence of any kind. And it's quite ironic for you to say that that US has had the same issues when you're trying to meddle with someone else's politics, and you're basically trying to cloud your argument. Oh, this is Trump, basically, so we need to criticize him because Trump. You're literally NPCs. Orange man bad. Oh, and there's one in Brazil. We have to go after him as well. Orange man bad. Oh, he made a bad joke or a stupid statement. Oh, orange man bad. We have to go after him. Seriously, TYT.
Donald Trump will viciously go after his critics. He'll viciously go after journalists who don't even do editorial work. They just simply report on what Trump is doing, and he'll refer to them as the fake news media.
So people like you then, Anna, you're reporting things. It's not like you're using your own bias, your own opinion, making this an op-ed instead of an actual news report. Because a news report is supposed to be objective. Do I need to cite the SPJ standard of ethics? And you're not even eligible for being in the code of ethics of SPJ. I mean, you are the problem with the media. You're unethical. You're basically an activist. Same with Cenk. And you're hiding behind this. Oh, we're a reporter, we're journalists. We just report the news. Like 90 or 95% of the coverage of Trump is negative, and you wonder why he lashes out. Now, Trump isn't perfect. He's human. He has his character flaws. There are legitimate things you can go after Trump for. Being unstable with his cabinet, or flip-flopping on some issues, not being good enough in his policies, or things like that. But you guys attack his character on every opportunity you get, and you hide behind, oh, we're just innocent journalists. We're the victims. Oh my God, you're the reason why people don't trust you. and mainstream media is cancerous at best.
And then here in the United States, you will have pro-Trump propagandists paid for by the Koch brothers going around and spreading the same nonsense message.
You know, the same goddamn thing can be said about you guys being propaganda for Qatar, for Al Jazeera, for Soros. Like, I'm not completely into the whole Soros conspiracy because I haven't read up enough about it, but the left just props up the Koch brothers like they're the goddamn devils, and you're just as bad as Alex Jones, if not worse. Because he, in fact, sometimes actually reports the news and uses facts. You're the propaganda outlet here. Stop pointing at everyone else. Your masses at projection. Jesus, TYT. Don't throw rocks in glass houses. Jesus.
Brazil has decided to recycle some of the same figures. In fact, one of those figures was recently featured on a Brazilian propaganda outlet. It's on YouTube, known as Brazil Paralelo, okay? Get a load of who they had on one of their shows to regurgitate Trump-like talking points about the media in Brazil.
We have a very similar problem that you guys have in Brazil. I mean, the media has basically lost all credibility. The line that I like to say is that many, if not most journalists, they're not journalists anymore, they're activists.
It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible because, again, you're projecting, and now I understand why you made this video. You guys are so freaking salty about Dave Rubin being successful without you guys and not being within the echo chamber, talking to people and being more interesting than you ever could be. Now, Dave Rubin can be accused of being a little bit shallow in his argumentations and things like that, but I prefer someone like Dave Rubin who is open to conversation, to ideas, talking to Larry Elder and having his mind change, talking to Sam Harris, talking to Milo, talking to Sargon, and all these people on his channel from various backgrounds. That is a lot more interesting. He lets people talk. He lets them form their ideas. He doesn't interrupt them like you guys do on your channel. And again, it's very hypercritical. Don't throw don't throw rocks in glass houses, because if you don't point at everyone else telling them they're a propaganda outlet while you're the exact same thing. And stop being so goddamn jealous of Dave Rubin. Jeez. I mean, it doesn't really look good on you guys.
Wow.
I mean, we have useful idiots here in the United States. You just saw one of them. Why wouldn't Brazil take advantage of the same kind of situation?
He's gonna go after LGBT members in Brazil. He's gonna, and Dave Rubin, if you don't know, is part of the LGBT community. And so they used him to prop up Bolsonaro. Wow, I hope the paycheck was good. Wow.
So Cenk is gonna use the token argument here. And it is quite interesting that it's these two people claiming to have the so-called high ground, the moral high ground, when they're probably the worst two people on TYT. It's actually quite running because Anna is an Armenian, Cenk is a Turk, called the network the Young Turks, and is denying the Armenian genocide. That's basically a Nazi channel hiring a Jew and then basically spewing off propaganda on that channel. Now, it's the exact same thing, and I'm gonna play a few clips now of them being very hypocritical, and because they're so morally righteous here, and looking down on Dave Rubin, that it's really freaking disgusting. And oh, he got money. Oh, you don't do this for money, eh, Jank? How about you give all your money to your communist cause there? You don't? That smells like hypocrisy.
And a lot of the people that are picking on him for his weight gain aren't really lookers themselves.
Yeah.
Get off the stage, you fat fuck! Oh, and it's the classic bullying move where you want to feel better about yourself, so you look to someone and pick on their imperfections to feel good about yourself. It's stupid. Get off the stage, you fat fuck! You fat fuck! She strikes me as someone who's actually trying to make a very serious and very terrible statement about overweight people. Get off the stage, you fat fuck! Look, I think that if someone that cares about you tells you, like, hey, let's get healthy together, it's not fat shaming. You know, fat shaming is pointing a finger at you and being like, you're fat. Get off the stage, you fat fuck! I think that this study is really fascinating because, I mean, I can relate to it big time because when I was about 4 years old, my dance instructor told me that I was overweight. And as a yes, and that stayed with me for the rest of my life. Now, I don't fit the results of the study. I'm not in an unhealthy body weight. At least I don't think I am. But you know, it does scar you, and you have issues with food and eating for the rest of your life. Get off the stage, you fat fuck!
Karen, yada, 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 yada. I thought we were having a rational conversation. Yada, yada, yada. Look, everything's going great, but you're not being reasonable. You're being ridiculous. Yada, 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 yada. Give me a thank you. Give me a thank you for feminists for getting your right to vote. Otherwise, stop voting and go make me a ham sandwich. Look. Going to just keep saying, oh, well, the women of Saudi Arabia love wearing their burqas, and the women in Britain who, while being oppressed and not having the right to vote, said, yeah, they like bending their neck and telling men that, yes, we shouldn't vote, we're silly little women. Are you going to give me a thank you for that, or you're just going to keep on blah-blah on that? All right. Blah-blah. Okay, you're radical, Karen. You're absolutely ridiculously radical. I mean, look, I thought we were having a rational conversation. How dare they ask for any rights, let alone equal rights?
What?
Any rights, let alone equal rights.
What?
Let alone equal rights. All right, we're out of time.
$1.5 million home, so it must be good. Let's go to the next video. Again, this is Rubin on a Brazilian pro-Bolsonaro propaganda show.
What is news really is what's really happening in culture. What are people really thinking about?
Yeah, he's all about big ideas. What are people really thinking about? For someone like Dave Rubin, he's thinking about dollar signs. But Bolsonaro is already going after minorities in Brazil. He just got sworn in. He just had his inauguration. He believes that all of the issues happening in Brazil right now can be blamed on the black individuals who are living there, on immigrants. He wants to crack down on immigration. I mean, he is very similar to Trump. And so if you want to attack me for being overly emotional or for passionately, defending those who are defenseless, then go ahead, you can attack me all you want. But am I saying that I'm better than you? I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are garbage, okay? If you get a rise out of attacking the powerless, you're garbage. And you can call me a social justice warrior. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. At this point, I don't give a shit, okay? That's it. That's who I am. And it is what it is. I'd rather be a social justice warrior than a piece of fucking shit, okay? How about that? Especially in that regard. And one of the media figures here in the United States who's done a really good job in covering what's happening in Brazil is Michael Brooks. So Michael Brooks sometimes appears on the Majority Report to fill in for Sam Cedar. And he actually was the person who brought my attention to the propaganda that Dave Rubin is now spreading for Brazilian propagandists. And he covered it. I want to just quickly go to that video.
I love how, like, even when you're trying to do like a serious, actually, this is a really bad guy clip, which Dave Rubin is an incredibly bad, disgusting, morally vacant person. He's just so stupid that it's hard not to laugh. But no, I can't take any more. If you have any even cursory knowledge of modern Brazil, you know that the entire of mainstream Brazilian media, including state media, was ruthlessly opposed to Dilma Rousseff and Lula da Silva, and have spread every manner of rumor and innuendo about the Workers' Party, covered Bolsonaro with kid gloves. The Wall Street Journal endorsed him. The Brazilian mainstream press either endorsed him or treated him with kid gloves, and they all supported a extrajudicial coup that removed Dilma.
Yep, and he mentioned Lula da Silva there. He was actually the leading candidate in the elections in Brazil, and he was arrested for corruption. And there was no evidence presented, against him in that corruption charge.
Look at what kind of people TYT is promoting, and the disgusting. They're not even ad hominems because they're not even arguments at this point. They're just calling Dave Rubin name. I'm just so happy for him that he's gone from that toxic echo chamber. The circle jerk that is TYT, and for the TYT to just air this and just jabbing and throwing Dave under the bus when he's a former employee of yours, that is so disgusting to see. And how could you even, and Anna is also gonna make the argument now that a person that has been convicted with evidence of being corrupt, which was the opponent, that is not good enough, and it's because basically a dictatorship, and it's amazing that these people are also those who don't want to have border control or any sort of protection of their own country, and they don't even know what they're arguing for. They would rather give all your money to migrants who are there illegally than to help legal citizens of your own country, and help the country get better.
The only evidence that was presented, and let me just tell you what the charge was. So it was a corruption charge. The accusation was that Lula da Silva had taken a bribe in the form of a luxury apartment that was worth $1 million, and that a construction company had given him that apartment with the hopes of securing a giant contract. OAS is the construction company. Well, after Lula da Silva was arrested, and he was the founder of the Workers' Party in Brazil, tremendously popular politician in Brazil because he actually did wonderful things for the economy there, wonderful things for the workers there. The president of the construction company had testified in order to get a plea deal that yes, this is what happened. That was the only evidence. That was the only evidence. Anyway, he was also, of course, because he was running against Jair Bolsonaro, his political opponent. And Bolsonaro has been very clear in how aggressively he wants to go against his political opponents. So just something to keep in mind. Da Silva is now serving a 12-year prison sentence.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Criticized what he called the gender-based ideology and said girls will be princesses and boys will be princes. There will be no more ideological indoctrination of children and teenagers in Brazil. In other words, we will do indoctrination of kids in Brazil and tell them boys will be princesses and girls will be princesses. Boys will be princes,
yeah.
Right? So they're going to do indoctrination and say that you're not normal or right if you do not fit into these gender roles that they have decided for you.
Yep.
And they're gonna start that culture war. And apparently some people from America are happy to help them with that culture war while blaming the press. totally counterfactual. What the press actually did is Brooks explained there, and then to turn around and say, oh, it's the evangelical right wing in Brazil that's actually being oppressed.
Please.
You need to make sure that you go hit those minorities, and don't worry, it's okay. I'm gay and I'm saying that you're great. Well, I'm sure they deeply, deeply appreciate that.
Oh, that's not what you meant, did you? It's not like there is this sort of indoctrination going on in US at all. No, 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 no. That isn't happening at all. Where you have the nuclear family being basically bashed, men being bashed, the traditional family structure being bashed. But this is totally okay, right? It's not like I might not even completely agree what this Bolsonaro is saying, but is the alternative so much better? Like, think before you speak, Cenk. Think.
And so now Bolsonaro, by the way, he's going to probably auction off a lot of the Amazon and also help destroy the planet. So
big ideas, lots of big ideas being discussed here.
I hope the check's clear for Bolsonaro and others.
Great, Cenk. Let's just end the video with fear-mongering, because that's not what you do at all. You have to even prove that he's going to do that. Jesus, Cenk. Jesus. Anyways, I thank you guys for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.